All right, so if you've been following my content, you've seen over the past few months, I've been experimenting with like some funky channels. And so like some weird stuff I've been doing is I've been sending cookies and gifts to prospects to see how that goes. I've been sending memes to prospects, um, handwritten letters with QR codes that lead to landing pages, all that kind of stuff. And so when I posted this meme specifically, it was a meme with the two guys from Step Brothers, but it was my face on top of Will Ferrell's and then my prospect's face on top of John Riley's, right? And then it said down here, phone burner, don't let your reps miss quota, right? That was the hook or something like that. And so a bunch of folks reached out to me and asked me how to do it specifically, because most people aren't super well versed in Photoshop. And so I'm giving you guys a quick tutorial today, how to do it on your own, quickly and easily. Two prerequisites. The first thing is that you have Photoshop. Canva doesn't work. The second thing is you need the most updated version, because it has a bunch of cool AI features that just makes everything so much easier. So let's go with step one here. Step one is you go to Google and you find the poster for Step Brothers, and you're going to copy it. You're not going to save it. You're going to copy it, because if you save it, it's just going to take up extra room that you don't need to worry about. You're going to go back to Photoshop. You're going to make a new file. All right. You're going to make a new file. And typically I just go with a box. I'll do something like 8 inches by 8 inches with a resolution 150. And then by default, they usually have this feature on CMYK, or this color mode on. You want RGB. It just looks better for vibrant colors. Create, and now we're here. You're going to do Command V to post that in there, and you're going to shrink it down so it fits the page. Perfect. Then we're going to get rid of this background layer because we don't need it. We're going to hit C, which is for crop, and we're just going to shrink this down. Hit enter. All right. And now we have it. So we have the poster here, and then the problem with it is that there's a lot of stuff we need to change. We need to change the text up here. We need to change the text down here, and we need to replace the heads. And that's a lot of work, because basically we need to take everything out, right? So how do we do that? First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna click M, which stands for your marquee tool, which is one right up here. You're gonna want to make sure it's on the rectangular one. And you're gonna go over this top part right here, have it covered, and delete. Then you're going to hit generative fill. What would you like to generate? You leave this completely empty and just generate. And what that does is it just fills in the pattern of the background of your image. So this blue background is about to get filled up here. And we're going to wait and wait. And there we go. So it gives you a couple different options to pick from. They all do the same thing. All right. Now we have an extra layer down here. That might seem like a big problem to have different layers for this stuff, but if I wanted to change, like the brightness of something, and I went to image, adjustments, brightness, and I cranked the brightness up, you can see where that other layer is. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this layer first, and then this layer here. Make sure they're both selected, right? So you hit this one first, and then you hold Command, tap on the other layer, keep holding Command, and then E. And E is going to combine them together. We'll rename this to poster just to stay organized. All right, so now we have the first part fixed, which is the names are gone from the top. We got some other problems down here though. So we have this text, which will eventually need to come out too, but let's just start from top down. So we have the heads, and the easiest way to do that is by clicking on this tool right here. It's a lasso tool. And this lets you highlight the heads of your this lets you highlight whatever you want, basically. We're going to go around the head, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but when we get to the close and to the chin, we want to keep it very close. I'm going to go all the way around and delete. You want to make sure you have the layer selected and then delete. Perfect. Now, we could do the generative fill, but the generative fill is pretty smart, and it's going to think that we're trying to fill in a head here. and we're not trying to fill in the head. We want this to be the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File. All right, we're going to edit and Content Aware Fill. But before we do that, we're going to go to Select, Modify, Expand, and then we're going to do it by like 3 pixels. And this just expanded this a little bit. And the reason we want to do that is because if you don't, right here, where the white, or where this blank space meets the actual image, there's going to be this white line. If you expand it, that won't happen. It's kind of weird, hard for me to explain, but you get the point. Edit, Content Aware Fill. And as you can see here, it got rid of this. It also added a beard, which is not right, but that's all right. So we're going to hit OK. And again, we're going to combine these 2 layers. Now we got to do something about this beard. And this is the not so fun part. So what do we do about the beard? Go to your lasso tool again, and then you're going to draw around the beard. And a little higher, and you're going to do that. What you're going to do now is you're going to look for a shade of blue in here that would match with this area. So right here, like all this area right here is very light blue. It's not dark blue like this. We're going to take this, move it up to this area right here, because this is all nice light blue. Hit Command C, which is for copy. Bring this back down to where we need it. We do Command V. And it puts that there. Now the problem here is, as you can see, you could tell we've just pasted something on top of it, right? You're going to go up to the top here, go to your eraser, wherever it is, or just press E, and then you want to make sure that you go into General Brush and Soft Round. You don't want the hard round. The hard round is going to continue making more lines like that, which is not what we want. What we want is a nice soft round. Going to make it about this big, and we're going to just start going around it. And all this is doing is basically, it's erasing it, but the soft brush could be used to blend stuff too. Now it's not as bad. We can also go back up here to Image, Adjustments, and do, like we could play around with the color balance a little bit. Make it a little bit more blue. You know, you can also go to like the saturation settings, drop it a little bit, and right there, that blends pretty well. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much because we're gonna have a giant head on top of it anyway. So it doesn't matter too much. Anyway, we have that done. We're gonna make sure that we have these 2 merged again. And we have to do it again for John Riley. Now the problem with him is his head kind of goes over Will Ferrell's body a little bit. And it makes it a little bit more difficult when you're trying to cut it out. So we're going to try here, and if it doesn't work, we'll need to figure something else out. You want to make sure you get this as close as you possibly can. And it's easier if you have a pen, not a pen, if you have a mouse, which I do not have. We're going to go around. We're going to try to stay as close to it as we can. All right, and that's pretty good. Deleted it. Select, Modify, Expand. And then we're going to go to Edit, Content Aware Fill. And that doesn't look right at all. So this is like the not so fun part where you got to figure out what to do next. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a generative fill. And I'm going to ask it for a tiny bald head. Actually, you know what's a better idea is if we just go back a little bit to where we had John Riley's head here, hit generative fill, and then just say tiny head, tiny bald head, because less hair, smaller head. It's going to be easier for us to put a new head on top of it. I'm going to wait a second. Let's see what it gives us. It's a little weird guy. His heads are too big though. All right, even better idea. We could just make him bald. So we'll go around his hair. This doesn't need to be perfect. All right, and then we're just gonna type in bald head for the generative fill. That one's pretty good. The problem with this one is it cuts into here a little bit more. We'll do another one. We'll hit generate again. It'll give you another 3. That's not right. That one's kind of right. It's just so big. Yeah, it's not going to work. There we go. That one's not that bad. All right, so that one's not that bad. We're going to go ahead. We're going to combine these together. And now we have one bald John Riley. And we're going to be, his head is smaller because we got rid of the hair. And now it's going to be easier for us to put another head on top of this. Now we need to worry about the text down here, right? So again, we're going to hit that M tool, which is a square box. And we're going to, not all of it at once. We're going to just do a little bit at a time. We're going to delete that, generative fill, let it fill. Perfect. Going to combine those together, come back over here. And the reason we're doing a little bit at a time and not like everything at once is because when you do too much at once, it'll try to like get rid of everything and add a bunch of other junk when you generate. Like for instance, if I deleted everything and then just tried to generate a bunch of new stuff, the pattern of the sweatshirts might be kind of funky. All right, we'll do it one more time. Right across here and generative fill. And there we go. So now we have our template done. Our template's all done. Now we need to fill in the text and we need to put the heads in and we're done. All right, so I already have a head. I made this one before. Hey Greg, gonna put my head right there and adjust it so it fits just fine. Want to make sure it's proportionate, or at least as proportionate as we can get it, and that looks pretty good. Looks good enough. Maybe lift it a little bit, maybe a little bigger. I feel like I have a big head. All right, and that looks pretty good. Now we need someone else's head over here, and so one person I want to pitch at some point is this guy here, and so we're gonna pitch Kyle Coleman. Remove the background. Going to go back to the eraser, but this time we're going to use the hard round brush. We're going to increase the size of it. You want to click on this one, not the layer mask. You want the actual layer, and then we're going to delete this stuff here. Perfect. Now, one problem that we're going to see here is like Kyle is looking off this way, even though the body of the person here is kind of facing this way a little bit, and so you can see it. It looks a little funky. What are we going to do about this? So the first thing we do is here, let's not worry about Kyle's head for a second. We're going to go around this head again, delete it, select modify, expand. We'll just do 1 pixel this time. And we're going to go to edit content aware fill. And that takes away some of his head. The same deal over here. We're going to copy this, make sure we have the right layer selected, delete, and then generative fill with, actually we don't even need to delete it, small ear. This ear is so big and Kyle's ear is not that big. So we want to shrink this down. There we go. There we go. All right. And the idea here is you're looking at this and it's everything shrunk it down, right? So it looks kind of scary, but you get the point. And then again, one more thing we can always do too is like we can copy some of the blue up here, and then on our own, we could just go ahead and then drag it down to here. We want to make sure this layer is on top, and perfect. And then we're going to flip this around so it matches a little more. Going to hit the E button again. We're going to go over here. We're going to go to our soft brush. We're going to shrink it down, and then we're going to just get around those edges here. We're going to get around those edges there so it will blend in. All right, and this seems like a lot of extra work, but the reason we're doing this is so we can easily put Kyle's head there and not have to struggle with it too much. There we go. So we've basically eliminated the head here. There's still like a tiny head, but you know, a tiny part of his head, but we don't need to worry about it. So where's Kyle's head over here? Kyle's head's right here. So we're gonna bring it over here. And again, one problem is we need to turn his head the other way. When you have the layer selected, do Command T, and then this will pop up at the bottom and you can just flip it around. We want to have his head tilted a little bit. We want to have his neck lined up. This is still kind of in the way, isn't it? We don't want to tilt his head too much because then that doesn't look right. Actually, that looks fine. Shrink it down a little bit. No, this doesn't look right. All right, so here, let's take this out again. And we'll do this. Go around here a little bit. Make sure you have the right layer selected. Delete it. These layers combined. All right, we're going to delete that there. And then we'll do another content aware fill. Let's see what happens. That line there is because I forgot to expand this. Content aware fill. That's good enough. All right. Combine those layers. I'm going to click on Kyle's head. And now we can, for the most part, adjust it the way we want it to. We hit the E button again. Make sure it's in the soft one. And then we're just going to go around his neck to make sure it look good. And we want to make sure it's lined up with the neck. All right, so that's lined up over here. Over here it's lined up for the most part too. Needs to be cleaned up a little bit. There we go. So now we've got Kyle's head and my head. For the most part, it looks pretty normal. Some stuff here like you might want to notice is Kyle's head does not exactly match the body here of the guy. It's a little bit more orangey yellow, and this is more of like a reddish purple. So if we click on Kyle's head, we'll go to image, adjustments, color balance, and then we're going to slightly alter this to be a little bit more reddish purple with a hint of yellow. And you can see the color kind of matches a little bit more now. Okay, and there's still some discoloration down here. Shrink this down and just get around the neck. You'll also see over here there's some white, because when we remove the background, it didn't fully get everything. So we're just going to gently go around here. It's going to get rid of the white. There we go. All right, there we go. All right. One thing I'm not super crazy about this is this right here is just kind of sloppy. So we're going to delete it, and we'll do another content aware fill. And so this is like the not so fun stuff where you keep going back and forth until you make it look right. Right. Select modify, expand like 3 pixels or so, and then edit content aware fill. And that looks good. That looks so much better there. All right. Combine those layers, and then Kyle does not look strange there. It kind of looks a little funny here, but he probably won't notice. Right. Maybe he will. Another thing we could do too is we could just go back a little bit, and we could lasso this whole area here. Not that much. Type in shoulder, and that might fill it in. All right, we'll leave it there. All right, so now we have this. Now we need the text. The text they use for this is Helvetica. It's all Helvetica, but it's not going to be one that you have on your computer. It's going to be a custom one called Helvetica Black. And so you could download it. You just go here. Then there's a bunch of you can use FontsGeek is a good one. Fonts.com. Fonta is another one. It doesn't matter where you get it as long as you just get it from somewhere. If you're using it for personal use, you don't have to worry about paying for it. You're going to go ahead and download it. After you get the file, you're going to go up to your Creative Cloud. You're going to hit the font tab, and then you're going to upload your fonts down here. And it's got to be, I think it's called an OTF file. And then as soon as you upload it, you'll be able to use it inside of Photoshop. You're going to hit the T tab, and we already have it selected. So we're going to do, let's see how they have it. Okay. So they've got smaller font, bigger font. So we'll do one text tab here, do another one, Hans Manolis, and we're going to take those to the top. We'll make James a little bit smaller. Needs to be even smaller than that. And we're going to try to get it lined up. All right. And then we're going to actually highlight both of these here. Actually, no, we won't. We'll just highlight Hans Manolis. Shrink this down a little bit too. Try to get it aligned. And it looks pretty good for the most part. What color is this? All right, so this is white with a red outline. I'm going to go up here. FX. Stroke. Color. Do it like somewhere around there. Yeah, around there. And we're going to shrink the size down to a 2. 2 should be good. We want to make sure the position's outside. Hit OK. Come over here, do the same thing. All right. Now we're going to select both layers. Do Command C and Command V. Bring this up to the top. I got a big last name. Hit the text tab again. Highlight your text. And we're going to type in our prospect's name. And there we go. So now we've got the names at the top. But now we need the names at the bottom. So you're gonna do a new text tab, and then instead of Step Brothers, it's gonna be like cold on the first line, and then we're gonna make another one. We need to get the size right first. So here, let's make this bigger. That looks pretty accurate. Okay, this looks about the same size. And this is red with a white outline. So what we'll do is we'll change the color to that red. Give it a white outline with the stroke. Make it a little bit bigger, like that. So we'll set it to a 4. Hit OK. And name it like cold pitch or whatever your product is or service is. We'll invert it. So this time white with the red stroke, and then copy this one, shrink it down, and we'll say, what's today's date? Today's the 29th. We'll say, okay, so we'll say April 15th for demo. I don't know what day the 15th is. Put it down here, shrink it down, and then we're going to shrink the stroke too, like that. And then we're going to go back over here. And this, if you look at this, this is a lot slimmer than this font up here. That's because this is just Helvetica bold. And so we're going to go back over here, text, new font, switch from Helvetica black to standard Helvetica, but this time we're just going to pick bold. And we're going to say, you know, whatever you want. This is a cold pitch. Actually, maybe that is Helvetica black. No, it's regular Helvetica. Center that. There you go. And that seems like a lot of work. It's only a lot of work the first time. The second time it's easier because you have everything done, and the only thing you're going to need to switch are the heads, or the one head. It's really just the one head. It's this, your prospect's head, and the name. Everything else stays the same. And so there you go. There you have it. You go to File, Export, and then quick export as PNG, and just save it right on your desktop. And then you can send it to your prospect. And so anyway, that took longer than expected, but there you go. For everybody wondering how to do the meme for Step Brothers, this is how you do it. There you go. For people wondering, should you be sending memes to your prospects? Stop taking yourself so seriously. Your prospects don't care. The person who calls them up with a very professional corporate voice is often the one that's forgot about. So send memes, send handwritten letters, send cookies, send candies, send a pizza to their office. It doesn't matter. No one's going to be mad at you for not being super professional. On the flip side, everyone's going to forget about you if you're doing outreach and you literally sound like every other person who's working in a cubicle. Don't do it. Do stuff like this. All right. Make your cold call stand out. Be casual. Don't be afraid to say stuff like dude or man. Have fun with it. Be experimental. And so anyway, if you guys dig this, let me know. I could put more of this stuff out. I'm not a Photoshop wizard, but like I like this stuff. I know a little bit about it. So happy to put more stuff out.